Hi everyone, this look is brought to you by Bedhead, no makeup face, and also a lot of expanding foam on my hands. So if you see any like weird black marks, it's because I've got expanding foam on my hands. The reason I have expanding foam on my hands is because I have been working on enclosures, as I have been all year. I won't say which ones, but they do involve some frogs, so I've got them sitting right here in front of me and I can't wait to get back to them. But I want to post Elia's video, and the last bit of Elia's video is basically explaining where she came from to begin with, and instead of me saying that, I'd rather give all of the credit and attention to the person that saved her life. Her name on Instagram is the Spotted Beta. I'll include it right here on the screen. I'll also include a link to her Instagram down below. Please go show her some love. Please go show her how lovely and wonderful that she is for having rescued Elia in the first place and for having allowed Elia to become part of my family. With Elia came this lovely letter, and it's got some dirt on the back because it was sitting underneath a potted plant, but it's fine. Actually, I keep all of the letters or notes that come with animals, and I also anytime there's a shipping container lid and it has their former name on it or anything about them, I keep that too. So of course I'll be keeping this. But I kept it for sentimental reasons and because I wanted to read it to you. So let me start by telling her story. And not in my words, like I said. Elia was purchased on Craigslist along with her male tank mate on November 11th, 2018 for $25. The drive was a 4-hour round trip to pick up Elia and her mate. Upon pickup, I was informed that both geckos had been left by a former renter of an apartment whom shared rent with other tenants. From the online photos, Elia appeared the healthiest, but upon personal investigation, it was clear that she was not. The online photos actually appeared to be older ones from when the geckos were slightly healthier. Anyone who gets any animal off Craigslist, please know this is a very common thing. It's happened to me. Examining Elia, she had severe malnutrition that gave her a skeleton-like appearance, as well as obvious fractures resulting from severe metabolic bone disease. Severe metabolic bone disease is caused by not having enough calcium, and basically the gecko's body takes the calcium from the bones soften, they break, and then there's really nothing you can do to reverse that. That's why Elia looks the way that she does if you saw her in the thumbnail. But don't worry, there's a happy ending. It's just sad right now. Elia could not open her mouth, open her eyes, use her back legs, walk, swallow, or lift herself up. She ultimately would have died without quick actions taken to improve her health. On November 20th, after removing multiple dried shed from around Elia's eyes, she gained total use of her eyes again. On December 1st, after force-feeding tiny amounts of electrolytes and food against her rubbery jaws, Elia struck and ate her first insect by herself. Her dehydration and electrolyte imbalances were so severe that it was difficult for her to keep clear fluids down, and she often regurgitated anything that went in. After time-consuming slow oral rehydration fluids, along with assisted swallowing stimulation, she was able to reach the milestone of feeding herself for the first time. Her milestones consist of small victories that most healthy geckos are capable of doing, including feeding herself, swallowing water, lifting her head up, walking, striking prey, shedding without assistance, moving away from her sleeping area to defecate, blinking her eyes to see. In June of 2019, she was finally able to gain use to some extent of both back legs, which had been unable to function for all those months. Her story has taken a lot of time, love, and support from myself, but most of all the followers of Spotted Beta Aquatics, who selflessly donated items to help her get better. I ask that you keep them in your thoughts with all they have done to help towards your new family member's life. Elia's story will continue with you as she grows and develops into the proper functioning gecko she should be. She still has a long way to go, but under your care she will go far. Thank you for giving her a chance. This is severe neglect. Neglect at its absolute worst, and unfortunately there's no shortage of that in the reptile community and in other animal communities as well, but reptiles are hardy, they're resilient, it's sad to say, but they're hard to kill. I mean, Elia literally starved. Elia was literally malnourished. She was not able to open her eyes. She was not able to eat or swallow on her own. She couldn't walk. She had severe MBD. Like, everything that could be wrong was wrong. And that's something that, you know, if you're on Craigslist rescuing, or if you run a sanctuary, or if you run a rescue and you post about it publicly, that people will see, and they need to understand that this is something that happens not just in the most rare of cases, but that this happens across the country, this happens across the world. And reptile education is so important, because otherwise animals like Elia get to the point that they have, and even worse, they die. This can be seen in like the most commonly kept reptiles: bearded dragons, leopard geckos, ball pythons. I feel like those are the top 3 that I see constantly neglected, constantly kept incorrectly, constantly kept and then rehomed after a short period of time, constantly kept and purchased by children and uneducated parents. So those 3 are like, and I don't even keep ball pythons, but I'm so passionate about them because they're one of the species that, like leopard geckos and bearded dragons, there's so many morphs that the normal ones are considered like not as appealing, and they're sold for dirt cheap to pet stores and to uneducated people and to people who aren't really in the hobby. They're just like maybe just wanting a pet, not realizing all that goes into it. So not only is Elia's case like about Elia and about Mr. Screamy, who is the other animal, or the other leopard gecko that she was housed with, which, by the way, don't cohab males and females, like, don't do that. But like, this story can be applied to so many other reptiles, and not just leopard geckos, but other species. And so please, for Elia, for me, and for all the other reptiles out there, if you have a reptile and you are great at caring for it, create a channel, create an Instagram, create a website, share the proper information, share that they need calcium, share that they need a humid hide, share that they need a proper diet. These things are so basic, but they are gotten wrong all the time. Like, pet stores will get it wrong. Even some of like the most popular breeders in the world will get it wrong. So the more proper information that we can put out there, and that's the reason for this channel and for my Instagram, aside from just teaching about special needs, but the more proper information that we can get out there, we can prevent something like Elia from occurring again. And I'm not saying I'm not happy to have Elia, because obviously I am, but I would also love if Elia had never been abused to the point that she was. Now, with all of that said, let's go ahead and show you Elia. So one thing I want to say before I get into the unboxing is that I'm laughing now because in hindsight it was a mess. Like, that day was just an emotional mess. So Elia was shipped to me from the spotted beta from her former owner and like the person who rescued her. When she arrived, something traumatic had happened during shipping that has never happened to me before, and I've had like, I don't know how many animals shipped to me, but probably like 20. Never happened before, never had a problem. It was horrible, and I had a very, very emotional response. I'm a very emotional person. So I had an emotional response, and if that makes you uncomfortable in advance, I'm sorry. I tried to cut out as much as I could. But in hindsight, I'm letting you know now, it's completely fine. I don't think I overreacted. I think I just reacted exactly how I was feeling instead of concealing any of it. But everything is fine, so don't panic, don't worry. It was a very minor thing that happened compared to what could have happened during shipping. So with all that said, let's go ahead and have you meet Elia. I'm very excited. Hello everyone, Miss Elia is here. See, live animal. Moment of truth, time to open the box. I'll tell you a little bit about my morning while I do that. So typically they get here between 9 and 9:30. And so I wake up no later than 8:30, and then I make sure everything's prepared, which like is basically the quarantine enclosure and all that. And then I stand by the window and wait for the whole time. So this morning I stood at the window from 8:30 to like 10:10 maybe? I don't know, maybe a little bit later than 10:10. But yeah, that was, I'm starving. Like, I'm hungry and I couldn't stop to eat because I was like, I know as soon as I walk away from the window, she'll get here. So, moment of truth. Oh, it's still taped, just kidding. Okay, moment of truth. She's alive! Okay, that's the first. She dropped her tail. And she pooped. Hi, honey. Oh, you poor thing. Well, she dropped her tail. Oh man, that sucks. Oh, that really sucks. Oh, that... I've never seen a drop tail in person. I feel really bad that she had to experience that it was so stressful for her that she dropped her tail. A drop tail is not the end of the world, but I feel so bad that, like, I put her through that. Like, she's already been through so much. This has never happened. I've had enigmas shipped to me and never dropped their tail. Oh, I feel really bad. Well, she's here, safe and sound, minus a tail. And I'm gonna go put her in her enclosure so that she can rest. I'm gonna clean her wound later, and I'm gonna message her former owner, who I know is gonna be like hella upset. Oh man. Are you okay though? What a stressful journey you've had. Yeah, first thing I noticed when I looked at her was that she was awake and alive. Check, great. And then I noticed blood and I was like, oh my god. And then I pulled the container back a little bit more and I saw her tail. That was like something creaking in the box. Let's see. She's starting to move around a little bit. Are you getting warmed up? You poor little butt. Can't believe that. She dropped it all the way up too. It's a whole tail in here. So I'm gonna show you guys what I saw. Look away if you don't want to see this. But she pooped in the container and somehow got poop on both sides of the container, and then blood and her tail. So okay, you can look back now if you're interested. This will be my first experience with a regrown tail. All my geckos have their tails except Oberon, who I got with his tail already regrown. Alright, I'm gonna go put her back now. So the end of this video with Elia is just to put her in a gecko bookshelf where she belongs, like my other leopard geckos. I'm giving Elia a bigger space in the gecko bookshelf rather than putting her in one of the special needs gecko bookshelves. I did have Sam and Gilly in this enclosure previously, but they are no longer housed together, which left this one vacant. So I gave it a really good clean, and I'm deciding to put Elia in it because I think that giving her more space will help her really regain the most use of her limbs that she possibly will. That's another reason why I decided to give her cork bark. So as you can see, there's a pretty large cork hide over here. I'm happy that it's low to the ground because if she were to fall, she won't hurt herself. This over here is a cork round. It's also small enough that she can like get underneath here and like use it as a hide over in that corner of the enclosure. But I like that there's a cork round in here because I want her to be able to climb and engage with her enclosure in the best way that she can, even with her disabilities. So I think that having a low to the ground cork round that offers, you know, an in and an out on both sides will allow her to make the best of her enclosure. If you're curious at all about my gecko bookshelf, I have a whole video explaining like what they are, how I made them, yada yada. When I posted Rago's video, some people thought that like I don't put a door on the enclosure, which is totally not true at all. That would be not safe. All the enclosures have a door. In fact, this is the door right here for hers. It's just off so that you guys can see without a glare, and that when I put her in here, you guys can see her exploring properly. So let's give a brief overview. We have her warm hide, which is just a giant cork round. It's gonna also cover a cold area of the enclosure as well because it's so large. She has a, what brand is this? Exoterra, like a fern. It's a mini one. She has her humid hide in the middle. Then she has hanging plants on both sides of the enclosure, here and here. She also has a cork round, and she has her water bowl right there. Now she needs a calcium dish, but because Elia is a gecko that like she can't push herself up like the other geckos because her arms don't move that way, so she can't really crawl into a dish or lean into a dish. It has to be something that sits low to the ground. So like her water dish, I need to get a dish of calcium that sits low to the ground. So I need to swap out one of the other geckos right now, or I can wait and buy a new one. I just haven't done it as of right yet. I'm gonna show off her exploring the enclosure, and then I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I'm thinking I'm gonna put it like right here. Alright, let me get Elia and put her in her permanent enclosure, which is so exciting. It's the middle of the day and the light is on in the room, so you guys can see this enclosure is actually pretty dark because it's facing away from the windows. It's on like the same side. So here's Elia and her regrown tail. Look at how beautiful it's getting. Alright, here we go. Oh my god, look at her wiggle her nub. I am so cautious about this. Look at that nub wiggle. Oh my god, it's so cute. It's okay, honey. You'll get used to it. This is a much nicer enclosure than the one you were in. Quarantine setups are no fun. I know. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah, you deserve it. So the size of this enclosure is 28 inches long, 12 inches deep, and this one is only like 9 inches tall, which is another reason I was okay with giving it to her because she's not really going to be using the height of the enclosure. Like right into her hot hide. Perfect. I know she's going to explore, so I'm going to wait. Oh, and the cool thing about her hot hide is that she can pop out on this side too. So it's open here, and it opens in the back as well. It's not closed off, but it's pressed against the wall, so I don't think she'll be coming out of there. But I like that it's open on this little side, and she's really low to the ground, so coming out of there will be no problem. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna get going to build these enclosures, but I really wanted to put this video up because I've had Elia for a long time now and this video is ready. It needs to go up. Please go show the spotted beta, again I'll include it on the screen, some love. I definitely think that they deserve it because they did the hard part. They got Elia to a point where she could even be shipped to me. And I kept an eye on Elia from November when she first was rescued all the way until I got her. And I had said originally, like, I'm down to take her if you ever want to rehome her because I was in love with her from the start. But all that hard work, all that effort of saving her life was not me. It was the spotted beta, so please go show them some appreciation. Go show nothing but gratitude and compassion for Elia's life here today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, please subscribe, notification bell, like, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!